Hey everybody, this is Colton with POSGuys.com, and today we're going to be taking a look at Epson's newest addition to their line of thermal printers, the M30III. As the name implies, it is a direct successor to the TM-M30II, which I have right here. They just added another number on top there, and because of that, the two printers are going to be very similar in a lot of ways. There are a few notable differences, however, so what we're going to go ahead and do is I'll start off by going over some of the broad details that concern this printer, compare and contrast that to its parent, the M32, and yeah, just kind of highlight some of the big differences, where things are the same, and then at the end I'll wrap it up by doing a little print demo, and then talk a little bit about my overall thoughts on the printer. So with that, I'm going to zoom you on in, and let's get started. Before I get into the nitty-gritty, let's go over some of the high-level information and get that out of the way. First off, this is going to be a 3-inch thermal printer designed to print on standard receipt paper. So this guy here, the type of paper that you are used to running, the type of paper that's on used by just about every receipt printer on the market. Though, while it does support 3-inch paper, there are these little spacer accessories that ship with the printer that can be plugged in here. Ooh, sliding away from me here. They can be popped in here, and that's going to let you print on 2.2-inch wide paper. This guy is going to print at 12 inches per second, which is 2 inches faster than its predecessor. But to give you some bigger context on that, that is about 8 inches slower than Epson's top of the line printer, the T88-7. But when you kind of compare this type of product, you know, the kind of mobile-enabled, mobile-focused type of printer to other printers from different manufacturers, it is about 2 inches faster than comparable printers. So when specifically looking at its equivalents in other lines, it is definitely above average in that regard. Some other details here: the printer is going to support most common character sets, so of course the Latin alphabet, but it's also going to support Japanese, Korean, simplified, and traditional Chinese. So if you're a software developer and looking to use this with an application that has multi-language support, this is a really good contender for that. So we'll spin the printer around very briefly before we jump into some more details, just to give a general overview on the aesthetics of the printer. Epson took a lot of the same design notes from its predecessor. It's still a very cube-shaped printer. They've definitely flattened out the top here. There's a little lip here. I think you can probably see it. Maybe this is a better angle. But there used to be this little lip here, and the little button stuck out on the M32. On the 3, they have flattened the whole thing out. Instead of having these traditional little pop-in buttons that go in and out, they've used just a standard, not a standard, kind of a fancy flat edge display. So they definitely just sharpened up the printer overall. The lines are super sharp. And I would say that of all the printers on the market that I'm familiar with, this is definitely one of the cubiest printers for sure. So yeah, I really like the design. They took a design note from the prior model where there's kind of a 3-part modular backing to kind of hide all the little bits that would be facing a customer. And I'll show that off in a second. But before I do that, I wanted to chat very briefly on the printer reliability. You're looking at a Printhead Lifespan on this device that's about 17 million lines, which is equal to the M32. For those who aren't super technically inclined, what that actually looks like in context, so given that a line is about 1/8 of an inch long, you're going to be looking at about 177,000 feet or 33 miles worth of printing before the printhead will start to give out. And you know, if there's other components inside, that should fail a little bit after that. And that's a lot of printing. That should take a little while to get through. I know the M32, which had the same you know, rating, we've had customers that we sold this to years ago. It's still going strong. But if anything does happen to the printer, you know, prematurely, it is going to ship with a 2-year standard manufacturer warranty, and that's going to cover, you know, damage from, you know, defects in workmanship. Though they do have, Epson does offer extended warranty contracts that are going to increase that up to 5 years. And they do have a spare in the air program where essentially if the printer goes down for any reason, Epson will send you a new one. And then, you obviously bring this one back in, they'll try to repair it and get it back. So there should be pretty minimal downtime from that regard if you purchase one of those contracts, if you're the type of person that just wants to be a little safe, right? So we'll pull this out of the way for a second, flip the printer back around. Let's start taking a look at the back interfaces, because I know that's what everyone's come to see. So you pop out this little middle bit here to kind of get a better grip. We'll pop these out. It's a little tricky. There we go. And it kind of breaks out and you can see the internal components on this printer here. So what are we looking at, right? So this is the cool thing about this printer is that every model is going to come shipped standard with all the standard port interface options. So of course you're going to have your USB-B, the little house looking port here. That's standard across just about every printer on the market. In addition, you're going to get a USB-C port here, which can be used for communicating and charging with computers and tablets, as well as an Ethernet port, and then a drawer kick port, which is all the way up here. One quick thing to note with the USB-C port here is that in order for it to communicate with your tablet-based point-of-sale softwares, Android, iOS, things like that, the software needs to be specifically programmed to support it. So don't expect to be able to just plug in any tablet with any software and be on your way, right? There's an extra step there, and you're definitely going to want to check with your developer, your software developer that is, before you go ahead and purchase this. You could also give us a call. We can kind of help you figure that out as well, but if it's more of a niche type software, your software developer is going to know best. So like I said, all models are going to come with those the USBs and the Ethernet ports. Some select models will also ship with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth 5.0. So the wireless interface connection options are definitely top of the line from a speed standpoint there. So you won't have to worry about that. Spinning it back over, I don't know why I flipped it back around, but taking a look back here as well, you're also going to see a USB-A port. Kind of a similar note, it can provide charging and there is some limited communication, but that's with peripheral accessories. I'll chat about that in a second. But basically what this port is going to do outside of charging devices is that it's going to function as a hub. And that's going to allow you to connect up to 2 USB point-of-sale peripherals at a time to this device. There's also a sync and charge feature, which can deliver up to 18 watts of power to a mobile device. And the fact that that is built into this model is somewhat notable because the predecessor had versions that had the hub functionality and versions that didn't. And in this line, Epson decided to just put it all into one printer, make it easy for people ordering, and that's going to make it just easier to know what you're getting, right? They standardized it, which is really nice. I'm glad that they did that, and they're kind of offering all those features. So the only really options that you're going to have in ordering this are the color, of course, and then whether you wanted the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth. So with that out of the way, let's talk about accessories here for a moment. I alluded to them a little bit earlier. I unfortunately don't have any of the actual accessories here to show off, so you'll have to make do with some photos here. But essentially, there are a couple options. You're gonna have a customer display. I'll throw a photo up right here, and that can be used to read out, basically anything that a pull display is gonna have. Of course, that needs to be supported in the software. So of course, as always, check with the software developer. There's gonna be a Wi-Fi dongle that's gonna allow you to convert that the USB to a Wi-Fi connection. And it also can use third-party dongles, though we recommend that you use the official one from Epson for the best user experience. And there's also going to be an external buzzer accessory that can be used if you're using this printer in a place like a kitchen, where you want to hear it better as orders come through. I personally wouldn't recommend using this printer for a kitchen setting. Given that it's a thermal printer rather, the paper is heat sensitive and that can interact with hot things like ovens and whatnot. But sometimes it is the only thing that you have that's your software supports, so you have to use it. So that buzzer is going to be nice to have. And then sort of a small caveat, or not caveat, but an additional note rather, when talking about durability in a kitchen environment. Another consideration is water and like grease and splash things. Kitchen printers sometimes come with a splash guard accessory to kind of protect it from those things. This printer, of course, doesn't, and it's only going to have an Ipx2 rating against water, which isn't great, but if you look across all receipt printers, it's pretty standard. You know, these aren't made to be used in environments where there's going to be a lot of water. So all of that is stuff to keep in mind when, you know, kind of figuring out where you want to put this printer. So with the specs out of the way, let's take a moment to talk about what this printer is currently compatible with and sort of what you can expect moving forward. So if you're connecting to a standard Windows PC, you should be able to swap this out with any existing Epson printer without issue, so long as you're using the Windows print driver, of course. You might just need to update your driver if you're using a slightly older version. The story is a little bit different if you're using this with a tablet-based application, so Android, iOS. You know, the answer is definitely a little trickier. The charging is going to work regardless, and it will, you know, definitely talk to the tablets with that USB-C connection. Though actually talking with your point-of-sale software is going to be a bit of a different story. The software needs to be programmed to specifically support the M33, and just because it worked on the M32 doesn't mean that it's going to work on this newer printer. I had a chat with some representatives from Epson before recording this video, and they let me know that as of the time of recording, no major point-of-sale softwares have integrated with this printer. So, you know, Square, Clover, Toast, those sorts of applications, Touch Bistro, you know, the big players in the game. None of them have supported it quite yet, though generally it takes about 4 to 6 months for major software companies to integrate, and they tend to want to time it with new updates. So there's a good chance that if you're watching this video a couple months after release, your software might already support it. So definitely, as always, check their documentation, give them a call, and if you're not able to figure that out, we are more than happy to help answer any questions as well, and see if we can get you helped out there. I'm going to talk briefly about some information that is pertaining to software developers. So if y'all are watching, stay tuned. If you are not a software developer, skip ahead about 30 seconds and we should be done. I'm going to try to throw a little card on the video so you can just skip forward. But if you are a software developer, I have a little bit of information for you as well. In addition to all the communication interfaces that I mentioned earlier, every model of the M33 is going to come ready to go with Epson's server direct print technology. So that means that you should be able to easily integrate this printer with any application that you've already developed another Epson cloud printing setup on. And according to Epson, the M30III is going to identify itself differently from the M32. However, in general, the new model can be initiated using older SDKs, and it will support most all of the same core functionalities. So if you are a developer looking to integrate this printer, either from a new setup, or if you had an existing setup and you're looking to just get the newest version, it's a pretty simple process. Epson has a really great development team, developer support team rather, and they'll make sure that you get taken care of. And I will make sure to provide a link to the relevant software development kits on our blog, and that can be found in the description at the bottom of this video. All right, and to cap off the video here, I just wanted to get the printer all plugged in, get it powered on, and just do a little bit of a sample receipt test here, just to, you know, show you the full meal deal. Before I do that, I just want to show you in the back, right? This is obviously what it looks like once all the cords are connected. I have the power cord. I have a USB-C cable that is connecting directly to the tablet here, and I can confirm that it is in fact charging. And I have a little sample application here. So I know I told you before that you got to check to make sure the software works. We're just running a little Epson TM print utility that's available on the Android store. Just another perk of the printer. It gives you a bunch of options, but one of them is to print a test receipt. And should probably flip that back around here so you can see that. I'll do a little bit of a B-roll zoom in here on the actual receipt. It's nothing super duper exceptional. Of course, crisp lines, nice color, pretty standard receipt as far as that goes. But boy, is it a fast printer for sure. We'll print out another one. Why not? Look at that. So yeah, super nice printer, and it also gives you a really good opportunity to take a look at all the different printing, or all the different notification options, of course. So you have the NFC, your alarm, paper, network, and Wi-Fi status, as well as a Bluetooth little indicator there. So you have a bunch of different options to quickly troubleshoot the printer. Of course, you can also use the print utility or the driver utility that's available on Windows. So now that the print test is over, let me spend a few minutes before I close out the video just chatting about my overall thoughts on the M30III. You know, I think it is definitely a step in the right direction from the M32. I like that they have integrated all of the you know, connection options from the interface standpoint, as well as that hub functionality, all into a single printer. I think that's, you know, great from a usability standpoint. It's going to be a little bit easier to get your hands on these printers. Generally, when they consolidate everything and lower the amount of orderable products, it makes it easier from a supply chain perspective. So if you're a developer or a franchise kind of looking to standardize everything, that should help a little bit with kind of planning long-term rollouts. I like the aesthetic and the design. You know, I appreciate that they kind of kept it similar to the M32, but definitely refining that design. If you're someone who has a particular eye for aesthetics and you really care about the look of your printers, you know, things like boutique shops I know are really big on that. This is definitely going to suit your fancy. Then having all the different, you know, indication statuses here for, you know, the different connectivity options will make it a little easier from a usability standpoint. But yeah, in general, I mean, they didn't change up too much. I wouldn't say that if you have an M32 now and your software supports it, you need to run out right now and get the M30III. But if you know, you're getting a brand new printer and you're kind of comparing this to other printers on the market, I would highly recommend this model. I've been playing around with it for a little while and kind of just looking at the specs on it. You know, you're definitely going to get a printer that's going to stand up to the test of time. It's not going to fall behind anytime soon. And with the reliability on it, you should be able to use it for a pretty good while without running into issues. But with that, I think I'm going to cap off the video here. I'm not going to ramble on too much longer. I'm sure you're a busy person. But if you have any more questions or are interested in picking up a unit for yourself, feel free to give us a call or an email or a chat on our website. All the contact information can be found on the screen now. But I thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.